Hey everyone, welcome to this week's video. So this week I'm changing things up to just a little bit. Last 32 weeks or so, I've been all my videos have been focused on um, lessons from Napoleon Hill's book Think and Grow Rich, or from Napoleon Hill in general. And this week I wanted to present something from John Maxwell, and I'm referencing the book The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So I became certified with Napoleon Hill Institute as a coach, speaker, and trainer this year. 3.5 years ago, I was certified by the John Maxwell team as a coach, speaker, and trainer as well. So the very first book that I presented in a book study, the very first book that I read as part of my education was the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Most of you know I'm a big fan of foundational principles, and I'm a fan of foundational principles because foundational principles don't change. They stay constant. It's almost like laying a solid foundation for ourselves and our lives and our careers. So the very first chapter in John's book is the Law of Intentionality. It talks about doing things on purpose. I think it's kind of ironic. The first principle in Napoleon Hill's 17 success principles is definiteness of purpose. So you can't be intentional if you don't know what you want. So they kind of correlate. They both set as the first step is knowing what you want and being intentional about your efforts. John talks in this book quite a bit about the fact that personal growth is not automatic. We don't just automatically grow because we're getting older and gaining experience. Yeah, we've got some life lessons that we learn that help us out a little bit, but we're not growing at the rate or at the pace that we should be growing if we're doing things intentional. You know, someone once said that if you studied a topic 1 hour a day for 5 years, 1 hour a day each day for 5 years, you'd become an expert in your field. I was in a conversation the other day, well, could you cut that in half? Oh, sure, you could do 2 hours a day, then you'd be 2.5 years. Or you could be 3 hours a day, maybe you'd cut it down to 1 year. If you dedicated 3 hours a day towards study of a specific topic, you would become an expert. All right, so that's intentional. It's doing things on purpose. So John talks about doing that, taking control of your growth process. He talks about the importance of having a growth plan. In fact, John talks about a conversation he had with a gentleman early in his career from Success Motivational Institute, which was selling a goal setting product. And part of the conversation asked John, do you have a growth plan? And John was embarrassed to say that he didn't. And, I think most of us don't. Do you have a growth plan? When could you start to grow intentionally? Immediately after you figure out what it is that you want. And that's a tough question. He also talks about cultivating the right mindset. What he means by that is cultivating a growth mindset, right? Always learning, always looking for a way to improve yourself in whatever area of life that is. The Zig Ziglar has 7 different spokes. So look at your spiritual life. Can you grow there? Look at your financial life or your business life. Can you achieve some growth there? It's identifying where you need to grow, identifying where you want to grow, and then creating a plan to actually create that growth, right? So he also talks about owning your growth journey. And, it's funny, what he means by that is this is your responsibility. It's not someone else's responsibility to help you grow. I remember a conversation early in my real estate career where there was a fellow realtor who wanted to go to a certain coaching class, a training class, a seminar, a workshop. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was going to cost several $100s. And he went to the broker and said, would you be willing to pay for this? And I was really excited when I heard the broker's response. He asked the agent, he says, why would I want to invest in you when you're not willing to invest in yourself? So oftentimes we'll take advantage of educational opportunities, but only if someone else pays for it. So be willing to invest in your own personal growth and be responsible for your own personal growth. Don't expect somebody else to do it for you. Establishing some clear objectives. In Hill's book, he talks about having a definiteness of purpose and then creating a plan to achieve that goal. So basically, that's what John is saying here. He's saying if you're going to put together a growth plan, be definite about what your end game is. What's the goal? In the book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, first chapter in that book talks about begin with the end in mind. So you have to know what the destination is before you can put together a plan to get there. So John actually says, he says you should make sure that you know where it is that you're going, put some clear objectives into play, and maybe even some milestones so you can track exactly how you're progressing and whether or not you're on track. And he also talks about challenges. Anything that we do is we're going to come up against obstacles. And so being ready for those obstacles and looking at those obstacles as an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to grow versus an obstacle, right? They come up all the time. We come up on challenges all the time in our lives. And oftentimes that's when most people quit. An obstacle, a challenge, is an opportunity to grow and to learn, right? So accept that challenge and commit to yourself that you're not going to quit just because it got a little tough. I'm thinking about this. This last Sunday, I was out on a 14-mile training run for my upcoming marathon. And for any of you that live in Florida, it's been pretty hot here over the last several weeks. And it looks like Sunday it was, I think, 95, felt like 112. And I was up for a 14-mile run. And for the first time in my career, first time in my running career, I actually stopped at the 11-mile mark. I cut my run short because I could feel that my body was becoming dehydrated. I was getting headaches. So I hit an obstacle and I had to make a decision. And I did make that decision. I'd say I'd rather live through this tough run and cut it short than not be able to run the goal of my marathon coming up in October. So I made a decision. But that doesn't mean I was going to quit just because I didn't achieve the 14-mile goal. I made a note in my records. I had a rough run. Temperatures were high. I took the safe route. But I was out running again today. Yes, it's still hot, but you have to be able to take on those challenges and don't take a temporary defeat as something that's going to knock you out of your socks and make you stop doing what you wanted to do. You said you wanted to achieve a certain goal. Stick to it. Stickability is what Napoleon Hill talks about, right? So John says, be prepared for challenges. Have a game plan for when they happen. Create a growth strategy, and what we mean by that is obviously identify your goal, be specific about what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then put together a game plan. So maybe it's a 1-year growth plan to learn how to play guitar. Maybe it's a 1-year training program to achieve a goal of completing a marathon. Whatever it may be, create the plan. I like to go to resources on YouTube to find who else has done this before me and what did they use as a strategy to get there. No need for me to learn from my mistakes. I can learn from somebody else's mistakes and experience. So make sure you do some research and figure out what's the best way to achieve the growth that you're shooting for. And last but not least, I want to encourage you to embrace lifelong learning. Anthony Robbins calls it CANI, C-A-N-I, constant and never-ending improvement. So we should never stop. I'm 68 years old. I'm still learning. I'm still studying. I'm still trying to do that 1, 2, or 3 hours a day to become a master at what I'm doing as a personal development coach. So why not just keep challenging yourself, whether it be physically or mentally, serving your community, reaching a higher bar, a higher standard, because you know what? We're not dead yet. Let's keep moving. So today we talked a little about John's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, specifically Chapter 1, Intentional Living. Be intentional about your efforts. Figure out what it is that you want to do for yourself, your community, your family, your own personal growth. Set a game plan and get into action. Remember, it's that last part that's most important. Get into action. The plan doesn't have to be perfect, but we do have to act or we receive nothing. Hey, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you know somebody could use this message, please share it. If you enjoyed it, give me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what's wrong with you? Subscribe. I put out a video every single week trying to bring personal development information to you so that you can live the life that you deserve and the life that you want to live. I hope you guys have a great day. And by the way, in the link, in the remarks below, I will put a link for my landing page so you can get an idea of the programs that we offer at Napoleon Hill Institute for personal development and mentorship. So with that said, enjoy the rest of the week. Hope you have a great day and please be safe. Talk to you soon. Bye now.